NASA right now is spending $700 million a day of our tax money. Where's it going?
I have no idea, you know.
It's not going to anything we can use.
Damn.
You took a picture of a galaxy, 1,000 light years away. Good job, NASA, thanks. What does that do? Does nothing.
Lighter than air vehicles, high-altitude airships, and high-altitude platforms are often misperceived as satellites by the public. So at nighttime, when you see one of those moving dots in the sky and believe it to be a satellite, it's actually one of these illuminated balloons. The skies are riddled with these communications technologies, but we are made to believe that they exist beyond our atmosphere. If we are to believe NASA's stories, then here's a question. How do satellites survive the 4,000 degree Fahrenheit temperature in space? There are only 7 elements on the periodic table that could withstand this heat, and none of them have been used for satellites. Satellites allegedly reside in the thermosphere, where temperatures can soar 4,000 degrees and more. This is simply not possible. These technologies are in flight underneath our dome. Including the technologies I just named, there are at least 18 platforms that can be used independently, in tandem, or in groups to provide all of the services that satellites supposedly provide. With new eyes, it becomes clear. No actual photos, no actual video footage, just CGI and photoshopped images. On the gravestone of Wernher von Braun, one of NASA's early rocket developers, there is a reference to a Bible verse that talks about our dome, our firmament. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament sheath his handiwork.
They have been sending these up one at a time since it all began. I will allow them to explain it.
And he got a patent on that in 1950. And those early balloons were so large, they didn't have any way to launch them, except they actually launched them from aircraft carriers.
Modern scientific ballooning was born. It was also the genesis for NASA's newly developed super pressure balloon.
The reason for superpressure ballooning is they have absolutely stable altitude, day, night, and it doesn't matter how cold the atmosphere is. They are sealed.
So your shape is always the same, you always displace the same amount of air, and therefore you have the same amount of buoyancy all the time.
This day-to-night altitude stability allows superpressure balloons and the sun.
Hi, I'm Matt, and this is NASA Now.
NASA's been using balloons for science research for over 30 years. The exploration that can be done on balloons is continuing to grow.
It is now public knowledge that they send up satellites on massive helium-filled balloons. As you should know, NASA is the largest consumer of helium in the world. If these are sent up to provide the world with all of the important information we need, then please explain to me what in the flat world do these pathetic animations do for you? The fact of the matter is everything NASA sends up on a balloon simply hovers above our motionless Earth. That is why they rarely speak about orbiting satellites. And of course, they never show footage of a random evening with a man, the moon, and his Nikon P900. Notice anything floating up there?
Forget it, Bart. It's so bright out you can't see anything in the sky except the Fox satellite.
You ought to be in pictures.
Not the best? Let's say it's another one to Fred. I think that's awfully good. That one and the one before it was pretty good.
Do we have about 15 seconds?
Oh yeah, you got a lot of time here.
I claim this land in the name of...
What do you got now?
Great.
Now move.
Ready? And action.
Cut it, Jim. Very good.
Print that.
Print 4. He needs to go
41.
off this mark.
Once more, please.
Otherwise, he,
Let me walk it for you. Tell me if I don't want
back in the middle of it.
41. Here's what we really need is for him to go to his left and then kind of veer back. Is that right? No lights on the car. No lights. No lights. One more right away, guys.
Headlight.
Exactly right, and it has to be. We have to be high enough so that we've got you against blue sky and not against Earth as you're coming in. You're coming in a descending approach as you get in. Over.
We can rehearse it. Said, go back and we'll rehearse it and see how it looks.
Ready? And
once the crew are on board, if it looks as if they're in danger, they get out and head down this tube, specially insulated against fire, and zigzagging down not to some point out and away from the rocket, but to an escape room exactly where you'd think it shouldn't be.
3.5 minutes after they get the warning in the capsule, the crew could be down here in the blast escape room via that 200-foot escape tube, 40 feet below the base of the rocket. They find themselves in a totally rubber room, walls and floors, and they head for safety through a 6-inch steel door. Once they're behind that door, it doesn't matter what comes down this tube behind them.
For your help, but first a little backstory. I think we all remember the Challenger explosion that took place in 1986 that tragically took the lives of all 7 astronauts on board. It launched not too far from where we're standing here today. Well, the interesting thing is, a couple decades later, this thing called the Internet came about, and someone allegedly found almost all of those astronauts alive and well, many using the same exact names. As you can see here, we have Challenger astronaut Judith Resnick and also a Judith Resnick Yale law professor. Michael J. Smith, the pilot of the Challenger astronaut, and also professor at University of Wisconsin, now retired Michael J. Smith. Commander Dick Scobie, who is now president of Cows and Trees. Now, if you'll notice, they all have the exact same faces 30 some odd years later, the same exact name, and they are the same age. Now, we all have a doppelganger out there, right? No big deal. But to have the same face, the same age, and the same exact name is extremely rare. So rare I could only find one case in the last 120 years. And we're supposed to believe that 3 people from one spaceflight have exact lookalikes that have the same age and same exact names. This, ladies and gentlemen, is beyond statistically impossible. Ms. Resnick was questioned at Yale by a journalist, and she panicked and ran from the camera. Why? Mr. Michael J. Smith was also questioned, and he said, yeah, we look alike, but that's not me. You can see both of these exchanges in a film called Level with Me, and you can be the judge. Mr.
Sir, I'm going to have to stop.
Sir, this is a public comment.
I know what it is, sir. I'm very familiar with the public comment.
Okay.
And part of the public comment is that you're only allowed to address things that we have jurisdiction over. We have no jurisdiction.
I have a direct request at the end of this that is in your purview, sir, please. I do. Can we hold the time, please? I have a direct request that...
listen to me.
Okay.
Very carefully. Mr. Richardson, would you give an opinion in regards to this, please?
Yes, public comment is reserved for issues or topics that are under the jurisdiction or control of the County Commission or that are relevant to the business of the County Commission. So if your request at the end is going to explain why that falls into any of this, make that request now before you continue.
Absolutely. So as I was saying, I'll just end it with what I was ending with. But the ask is that Ms. Pritchett, who knows very well about questioning science, whether it be COVID or fluoride, I'm just asking you all to question the science here. Your Goodson and Pritchett, your district covers the Kennedy Space Center. This launched from the Kennedy Space Center. You have the ability to help me in sounding the alarm and asking the federal government for help. If this is contained in your area, I should be able to at least address something that happened here. Don't you agree?
That's not within the jurisdiction or authority of the county commission.
Thank you very much.
Will you let me finish for at least 10 seconds?
No, sir, you're finished. Thank you.
Thank you for taking away my freedom of speech today in here.
I did not take away your freedom of speech. There's a.
Yes, you did.
I don't want to hear it from you people down here.
Just because this is an uncomfortable topic.
Officers, please remove this man from the room.
You just violated the First Amendment.
I didn't violate the First Amendment.
No, he
violated the rules.
This is a limited public forum, and the meeting is for the purpose of the business of the county commission. It's not for this purpose.
Now, if you want to go too, take him out too. Officer, take him out also.
Action.
Ready? And action.
What the feelings of the Apollo program are, and the symbol of mankind, that we can live in peace and harmony in the future.
I didn't take them all the way in. Rather than even say anything about the, I like to keep this stuff to an absolute minimum.
Peter is coming up down. I'll call you off the bell.
Head slate. You want to head?
But he didn't land there. He landed in the field.
Whoa. Okay, you should be the biplane coming overhead about 300 feet.
The third seat. Okay. Cut the third.
Any other calls? Hail slate coming up right now.
Right now, Jim, that is better. Hold on.
Our rehearsal, guys.
All of that happened
Ready?
in a little town
And
called York, Maine,
action.
across the United States from where we're talking to you right now. All of that happened in a little town
Altitude's a little high.
across the United States from where we're talking to you.
I think it's been almost 10 years since we've been trying to do this. Pitch forward, get a really good view.
Oh, you're looking great. Coming up 9 minutes. Roger, understand. Go for landing. 3,000.
Several other wire fells that I've seen from NASA Cinema. Maybe you remember this one from NASA Cinema, where you can see the wires unnaturally lifting the back of the astronaut's shirt, just like Buster Keaton. Yeah, I'm sure that's just perfectly normal space bum bulging that just seems to match wires and harnesses. How about this one, where the astronaut on the right in the USMC shirt actually grabs the other astronaut's wire. When he grabs this invisible object, it pulls the astronaut's shirt in a very strange way. That really looks like Buster Keaton, doesn't it? I also love this one, where the astronaut is hanging upside down, and the other astronaut on the right side pushes a button or something on the wall, which causes one of the wires attached to the shirt of the astronaut on the left to release. I guess he got tangled up when they were playing acrobats. PBS actually removed this clip off of their website, and so I couldn't share the original where you can hear the mechanism, but I'm sure that's perfectly coincidental. The astronaut behind him even reaches up at the same spot to seemingly detach the shirt from the wire. Of course, you can't forget this one where it looks like the astronaut flying in the back is wearing some sort of harness. I guess that's just an everyday astronaut harness that they like to attach to their butts for some made-up science reason. This astronaut seems to twist funny, like the wire is malfunctioning, and then she starts to fall before NASA cuts away. Buster Keaton comes to mind when watching that strange twisting. This is a great one where you can actually see the reflection of the wire. The reflection of the wire matches perfectly with the astronaut's movement, and it matches the bulge on his shirt. That's a classic Buster Keaton fail. This one is also hilarious as the actor from NASA accidentally gets the microphone wire tangled with her harness wire. Notice how the microphone wire is caught on something invisible, and then she has to use her other arm in a strange way to detach the microphone wire from the invisible object behind her. Is there any other evidence that NASA uses wires to fake space? How about this clip from an old video of mine? This company, called ZFX, which specializes in wires, stages, green screens, and performance flying. It actually looks like a pretty fun job. But you should go and check out their client list, and look who's there. On December 12th, 1901, Guglielmo Marconi received a transatlantic radio transmission at a distance of 2,135 miles. With the transmission tower height and elevation added in, at that distance, nearly 640 miles should have been hidden behind the Earth's curvature. 640 miles is enough to hide the United Kingdom if it were standing straight up. That is a very tall shadow. In my previous Flat Earth Fact number 11 video, I described how the World War II German Knickbein bombing radio guidance system was not initially investigated because English scientists, including Churchill's scientific advisor, stated the curvature of the Earth would block the VHF beams, and so the targeting system could not exist. The advisors were mathematically right, but English lives were lost because the Knickbein system in fact existed, proving there was no Earth curvature. Likewise, naysayers told Marconi that it would be impossible to send a radio transmission over 200 miles, let alone 2,000 miles, because the curvature of the Earth should have blocked the transmission. Again, the naysayers were mathematically correct, but Marconi accomplished the feat and has been repeated many times at much further distances. Because of Marconi, the ionosphere theory was then fabricated, claiming that the radio waves bounced off of the ionosphere. For Loran, the explanation is that the radio waves hugged the surface of the water. For Knickbein, since the beams were VHF, the issue has been avoided entirely, as Wikipedia and others have simply lied about the math and said that the Earth's supposed curvature wouldn't have been an issue at those distances. Do you see the pattern here? Repeatable scientific evidence proves the Earth is demonstrably flat. In response, new pseudoscience nonsense is discovered, somehow justifying why the Earth's curvature somehow always evades detection and disappears without a trace. Marconi's 2,000-mile transmission is another proof of the flat Earth.
You have 14,000 reels for the whole Apollo 11 mission has gone missing. How do you lose 14,000 reels of telemetry tape? And I might add one more thing here. It isn't just for Apollo 11. All of the missions, a total of 140,000 reels of telemetry tapes have gone missing. They actually went missing in the early 70s. I actually looked into this and researched this and realized and found out that it was NASA themselves that signed out all those telemetry tapes on the archives. That's all on record. We don't specifically know who, and those tapes have disappeared. You have to come to one conclusion. Those tapes were destroyed.
We have a pilot here flying at 35,000 feet. He's looking at the moon over to his right. You got the sun over here to the left. The sun is below the horizon. That should never happen for a sun that's 93 million miles away. Here we have another guy flying right next to the sun. As we all know, clouds are not 93 million miles high, okay? So why is the sun below the clouds? If he makes a hard right, he can fly right into the sun. I mean, if he wants to check out early or something, but that's how close it is, all right? Here we are again, another pilot flying past the sun. There it is, local hotspot right on the clouds. Here we are again, the sun is right beneath these clouds.
These are some stars filmed up close. Filmed with a Nikon P1000 camera. And God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs, and for seasons, and for days, and years. Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." Filmed up close. Filmed with a Nikon P1000 camera. And God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs, and for seasons, and for days, and years. Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." These are some stars filmed up close. Filmed with a Nikon P1000 camera. And God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs, and for seasons, and for days, and years."
When I look at the people who signed the Antarctic Treaty, and all the nations that were down there doing whatever they were doing signed a treaty, and I believe it was 1958 or somewhere thereabouts, saying, nope, nobody can stake a claim to Antarctica, and if you're going to go down there, you can only go down there for scientific reasons under carefully restricted guidance, but it's not a free-for-all. Nobody can just, hey, I'm going to go check out Antarctica and do a high jump of my own. No, can't do it.
It's the only treaty that's all these countries have signed and never broken and completely agreed on. It's the only one. What treaty is there that everybody's agreed on? We're being kept away from it for a reason. They have some scientific bases there, and literally it's controlled by the military because they don't want you finding out what's beyond.
Model. In the introduction, they flat out say right here, this report documents the derivation, which means the origin, and the definition of linear aircraft model for a rigid aircraft of constant mass flying over a flat, non-rotating Earth. Everybody see that? Derivation means the origin. Definition means this is how it's defined. This is how it works. So they're talking about the equations, and you want to talk about the calculus and trig this thing gets into. The equations are based on these airplanes flying over a non-rotating flat Earth. Question: why would this be in any technical manual of anybody if it doesn't exist? I mean, think about it. They claim the Coriolis effect, that snipers have to calculate the spinning of the Earth, the Coriolis effect, when they're shooting at, 1,000-yard shot or something. Yet they don't have to for Mach 1, 2, 3, 4 aircraft. You don't have to calculate the spin. No. This is just about, these planes fly over non-rotating flat Earth. So, Pastor Dean, this is what I heard. They're just doing that to simplify the equations. Oh, really? I'm sorry. I didn't know that NASA rocket scientists and MIT mathematicians couldn't factor in 8 inches per mile squared. I'm sorry, they have to simplify the math. Maybe they missed a class at MIT or something. I don't know. But this is crazy. Now, you can try to dismiss this if you want to, but it's also in the conclusion, the concluding remarks of the report and all the math and the equations. Look at that. This report derives and defines a set linearized system matrices for rigid aircraft of constant mass flying in a stationary atmosphere over a flat, non-rotating Earth. Let's keep going here. There's your definition of derivation, obtaining or developing something from a source of origin. Why would you develop the equations for aircraft to fly over something that doesn't exist? Oh, let's factor in the unicorn equation, just in case, the Pegasus, the flying horse equation. So, yeah. No, they're telling you it exists. Definition, of course, is a statement of the exact meaning of something. Think about that. The Central Intelligence Agency. Declassified document that we stole from the Russians from 1948. What's that? Yes, you will. You notice that. Sanitized, yes. Why would you sanitize scientific information about, look at this, this is what this one's about, scientific Earth measurements. Why would you redact anything concerning the true scientific facts of the Earth? I wanted you to see that scientific measurements of the Earth, June 1948. It was originally in the Russian language. This is the translated thing. Date distributed, July 1949, number of pages 19. Just so you can see, here's getting into it here. Now, notice it says, the paper says, outer gravitational field and shape of the physical surface of the Earth. Gives this guy's name, some Russian guy, Center Science Research, Institute for Geodetics, Aerial Surveying and Cartography, Moscow. Everybody see that? All right. You can go through this entire document if you want to. I'm just pulling out something that I found very interesting in 1948 from Russian scientists that was classified. They stated here that where it is not determinable at all of the points of space without the knowledge of the shape of the Earth, but since the shape of the Earth is not known. I'm not going to read all this, because if I read all this today, we'd be here for a long time. In fact, I cut out stuff. I just wanted you to see that a Russian scientific paper that was classified in 1948 states the shape of the Earth is not known. Now, let me remind you that we are always told, oh, we've known the shape of the Earth since 300 BC. How did Russian scientists, and let me just say that Russian scientists are not stupid people. In fact, reading through their documents, they seem to be more honest with themselves than a lot of American scientists. All right, so Russian documents, CIA documents, declassified. Let's look at it. We're going to go down through some now here. I'm going to try to go pretty fast. This is the Army Research Laboratory. Notice every time when you see .mil, whenever you see .mil, the only people that can have .mil, military. This is the Army's Research Laboratory. Beacon position and altitude navigation aided by magnetometer. I'm not going to try to pronounce those people's names. You can see the documents prepared by the University of Delaware, Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering, under contract of the U.S. government. I guess these people are dummies, right? They're stupid, right? This tells you who they are. I'm not going to get into all that, but this tells you the PhDs and the people who were assisting this study. And here we find something. Problem formulation, coordinate systems. The motion of an object usually described by rigid body equations of motion derived from Newton's laws. This section summarizes and notates three kinds of coordinate systems. The first is the Earth-fixed coordinate system, which is fixed to the Earth with a flat Earth assumption. Okay, now remember, we're talking about beacons for aircraft, and aircraft flying, moving, and we're talking about stuff that's moving. Why would you assume, first of all, why would you use the term Earth-fixed? I'll deal with that in a second. And a flat Earth assumption. An assumption means something that is just known to be true. It's just assumed because it is known. Here we go. This is a different one. Everybody see where this came from? NASA.gov. You could interchange CIA.gov, NASA.gov, it's all the same. Okay? They work together. In fact, I believe that all high-level NASA people are spooks, is what I believe. All right? Here we have the singular arc time optimal climb trajectory of aircraft in a two-dimensional wind field. Oh, Lord. These guys. All right? NASA research. Smart people are rocket scientists. Everybody said, I'm not a rocket scientist. Well, these are. All right? So this document goes on to say, in our minimum time to climb problem, the aircraft is modeled as a point mass and the flight trajectory is strictly confined in a vertical plane on a non-rotating flat Earth. Do you see that? Does everybody see that? And then they've got this nice little equation here. Thus, the pertinent equations of motion for the problem are defined in its the state variable form as, and then they give you the math. Wait a minute, is this unicorn math? Is this Thor hammer math? Wait a minute, no, it's flat. Whoa, what flat? Non-rotating flat Earth math. Oh, I'm sorry. Could we just substitute Pegasus, unicorns? No, exactly. Let's keep going. Here. Let's back up a little time. Everybody see this? NASA technical memorandum. Where'd it come from? NASA.gov, right? Declassified. Freedom of Information Act tells you all about it. Determination of angles of attack and side slip from radar data and the roll stabilized platform. Langley Research Center. What's in Langley? Virginia? Yeah, CIA headquarters, exactly. Also the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, Washington, D.C. Wait a minute, I thought they were in Florida and Houston, Texas. Oh, that's right. I'm sure they have an office. All right, let's keep going here. Here's the abstract. NASA Langley Research Center, technical memorandum, blah, blah, blah. Here is in the abstract. Basically what they're describing this manual is all about. It's a summary of it. Here's what they say. Equations for angles of attack and side slip relative to both rolling and non-rolling body axis system are derived for a flight vehicle for which radar and gyroscope attitude data are available. The method is limited, however, to application where a flat, non-rotating Earth may be assumed. The application for this whole thing has to be based on a flat, non-rotating Earth.
We interrupt your regular programming to bring you reports of what is being described as an event of biblical proportions. Hospitals are inundated with dazed and confused members of the public suffering injuries and psychological trauma after what is believed to be a sudden tilt of the Earth, estimated to be about 23.4 degrees. The scientific community is said to be baffled by the unprecedented shift, which challenges the long-held belief that the Earth was a spinning globe. We used to think the Earth was covered in bendy water held down by mathematical formula and thought experiments, said a prominent pseudo-scientist who wished to remain anonymous. Members of the Flat Earth community have been drafted in to help Australians cope with the psychological trauma of suddenly finding themselves the right way up. NASA frontman Neil deGrasse Tyson was unavailable for comment, claiming to have lost his microphone. Britain's Big Bang poster child, Professor Brian Cox, has reportedly barricaded himself inside Europe's CERN facilities to escape angry hordes of heartbroken nerds. Prominent members of the academic community are said to be redefining the word level, and politicians have been warned to refrain from using the word global to fit with the new paradigm shift in human consciousness, and waking up to the realization that we never did live on a spinning ball. Stay tuned for more reports on the Flat Earth Awakening as they come in.
Wait a minute, how many documents are we into here? I'm going to read that again. Equations for angles of attack, side slip relative to both rolling and non-rolling body axis system are derived for a flight vehicle. So we're talking about stuff that flies. and for which radar and gyroscope attitude data are available. The method is limited, however, to application where a flat, non-rotating Earth may be seen. To say that the method is limited to a flat, non-rotating Earth means it does not work for a spherical Earth. This is interesting because he talks about, it gives you this little frame reference. Look at north, south, east, west, right? And they're telling you that, again, that represents the Earth fixed axis system. Everybody see that, right there? The radar provides range, azimuth, and elevation data from radar site to the vehicle.
It is an observable, testable, repeatable, scientific fact of reality that Polaris, the North Pole star, situated perfectly over the North Pole center of Earth, never moves a single inch. Night after night, year after year, century after century, with all the other fixed stars remaining fixed in their relative constellations, revolving perfect circles around Polaris. It is also an unobservable, unscientific theory to claim that the Earth is spinning 1,000 miles per hour, and the Milky Way shoots millions of miles per hour more off through infinite space, when we cannot see, hear, feel, or otherwise observe or prove any such motion. And we can see clearly for ourselves Polaris never moving, and all the other stars revolving around.
Throughout flight. So we're talking about stuff happening throughout flight, right? The data in conjunction with wind data can be easily converted to pitch, blah, 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 flight path angles. It is assumed herein that the Earth is represented as a flat and non-rotating reference frame. Why do I say Earth fixed? Isn't it supposed to be spinning, tilted, orbiting, flying through the universe? Yet the stars never change in the sky, right? The night sky. But yet we're spinning, flying, orbiting, millions of miles. Been doing it for thousands of years. Nothing in the night sky ever changes. They know. Come on, they know. It is assumed herein that the Earth is represented as a flat, non-rotating reference frame. Yet they're going to tell us snipers have to adjust for shooting a 1,000-yard shot. It takes about 2 seconds, maybe less than that. But you don't have to calculate the Earth's. Isn't it supposed to be spinning, tilted, orbiting, flying through the universe? Yet the stars never change in the sky, right? The night sky. But yet we're spinning, flying, orbiting. Spin for an aircraft, for a helicopter, a drone. The space shuttle, I'll show you that in a minute too. Let's keep going. Here it is. Notice it says, also by definition, the X and Z plane will be vertical, perpendicular to the horizontal plane of the Earth at all times. The horizontal plane of the Earth at all times. Now, here's a doctoral dissertation by a PhD candidate that became part of this European Control Conference. In fact, I guess he graduated, but this doctoral dissertation that he began to speak to, I guess, the European Space Agency or whatever, a new path planner based on flatness approach, application to an atmosphere reentry mission. This was designed for the space shuttle, quote, reentry. And it's funny, they put orbit and reentry and stuff like that into quotations. And I'll explain all that next week. We'll get into that next week. But notice the outline of his doctoral dissertation. Statement of guidance problem. Why would you have a guidance problem? Well, if you're basing stuff on a spherical Earth and it's really flat, then you're going to have a guidance problem. Right? So this guy comes along and goes, you know what? We got to get back to a flatness approach. I'm not making this up. Right? Flatness-based trajectory planning. Here we go. He's talking about for this little vehicle right here. And we'll keep going. Notice he says model in flat Earth coordinates. Everybody see that? Again, this doesn't exist, right? Flat Earth doesn't exist, but we're going to have a model for it, and all this unicorn math. Sprinkled with fairy dust. So this guy's doing a doctoral dissertation in this present time to help with guidance system of the shuttle, and now we have unmanned shuttle system. But he's doing this and saying we've had guidance problems, so we got to go to a flatness approach, to a flat Earth model. Now I'm going to tell you, this guy's way smarter than me. I couldn't do this kind of math, not even in my dreams. Okay? But he does. And he says, guys, we need a flat Earth model. And here's the math for it. Shall we keep going? Notice this. Assumptions, meaning things we assume are true. Flat Earth. Coriolis and centrifugal forces neglected. Here's a doctoral candidate who graduated, got his PhD, becomes a speaker to the European Control Council, and he's telling them it's a flat Earth. We ignore Coriolis, meaning the spin of the Earth. It's completely ignored. Here's MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, the top technical school in the country. Or at least one of the top. I'm sure they argue among themselves who's the top. What's this? dspace.mit.edu. Right? Property-based system design method with application to targeting system for small unmanned vehicles. So this is a targeting system developed Massachusetts Institute of Technology, blah, blah, blah. Tells you who it is, the author of this. And then in the description it says 3 targeting methods were considered assuming a flat Earth. Whoa, 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 whoa. Why would an MIT professor, PhD, why would he assume the Earth is flat? The evaluation revealed a descending utility order, flat Earth, and range based upon the system's requirements. I mean, these and aeronautics and astronautics. Flat Earth assumption, mind-blowing. All right, let's get back to our documents, government documents here. Just wanted you to see MIT and other doctoral candidates and PhDs saying it's flat and it's not moving. Calculation of wind compensation for launching unguided rockets. So we're talking about rockets by Robert L. James Jr. and Ronald J. Harris, Langley Research Center, Langley, Virginia, Langley Field. I would say pretty important stuff, right? Right. But who reads this stuff? Who stays up all night and all day reading stuff? I do. All right, technical note. Here we go. Summary, method for calculating wind compensation for unguided missiles. It is derived from which has a greater degree of flexibility than previously proposed methods, blah, 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 blah. And they get into it. So they're telling you, summary, here's what we're up to, trying to figure out how to guide rockets. Yes, sir. Linear aerodynamics, yes. Coefficients with respect to flow, incidence angles are used, launch angles for wind compensation. I mean, it's pretty serious stuff, right? I think you'd probably need to get it right. I know if I was their general or their boss, I'd say you guys better get it right. This stuff's expensive, so let's get it right.
Better work.
Right, it better work. Let's look at this. It says trajectory simulation incorporating the above requirements is presented in reference 8. In addition to the above requirements, this simulation assumes a vehicle with 6 degrees of freedom and aerodynamic symmetry and roll, and the missile position, again, space will deal with that. They don't even, it's not what they're talking about. What we think, what they've told us, and what they know space is, 2 different things. So when they say it, they don't mean what they've lied about. The missile position in space is computed relative to a flat, non-rotating Earth. April 1961, NASA technical document for calculating unguided missiles, not anything we're sending into space. Just unguided missiles like the V-2 was an unguided missile. Let's keep going here. Here's another one. Okay, completely different document. Where did it come from? NASA.gov, right? Unpublished preliminary data, atmospheric oscillations, tells you the people. Georgia Tech project. Georgia Tech, here we go, right? My wife's brother is a professor at Georgia Tech. He would be losing his mind if he heard this, but his own university has been part of this. Under contract, Georgia Tech project, contract, prepared National Aeronautics and Space Administration. So this was in conjunction with their engineers, Engineering Experiment Station, Georgia Institute of Technology, Atlanta, Georgia. The requirements for additional copies. Talks about that, says the Department of Defense contractors must be established for DDC services or have their need to know certified by the cognizant military agency. So this was not to be passed around. This was need to know. All right. Georgia Tech project, just so you see it. Boom, boom, April 1965. Tells you the abstract, develop present theories of atmospheric oscillations. Blah, blah, blah. I don't have to. All right. A model frequently used is that of, everybody say it, flat, unrotating Earth. The most one can profitably simplify the problem is to consider the isothermal atmosphere, plane level surfaces, and a non-rotating Earth. NASA.gov. Now this is general equations of motion for a damaged asymmetric aircraft. So what they're trying to do is fix equations if a plane loses part of its wing or tail fin or whatever, how to compensate and all that stuff, right? So that's what this is about. And the technical manual gives you this stuff. The introduction, here's the introduction, right? Just so you know, it says, in order to analyze the dynamics of damaged aircraft, the dynamic equations of motion must properly reflect the underlying physics. Now, I want to say that again. I want everybody to pay close attention. They're telling you right here in the introduction of this, and they're showing you a damaged aircraft. They're saying, in order to analyze the dynamics of damaged aircraft and dynamic equations of motion must properly reflect the underlying physics. It must, what we're going to do here must reflect the true physics. Physics. People say, you don't understand physics. Okay, well, these people do. All right. Who are we talking about here? The American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics. And here's what they say. Rigid body equations of motion, reference to an arbitrary fixed point on the body. There are several approaches that can be used to develop the general equations of motion. The one selected here starts with Newton's laws applied to the collection of particles defining the rigid body. Any number of dynamics or physics books can serve as references. So they're saying the physics books can serve as references. I said, in this paper, the rigid body equations of motion over a flat, non-rotating Earth are developed. Why? Why? So you're telling me that the physics of a non-rotating flat Earth are the proper physics in a NASA document. Here we go. You can tell when they're older documents. Atmospheric refraction errors for optical instrumentation. Fun reading, folks. I'm telling you, fun reading. There you have it. Tells you technical memorandum, blah, 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 same thing, preliminary report. October, what do we got? See, we're backing up, 1953. White Sands Proving Ground, La Cruces, New Mexico. Where's Area 51? It's in New Mexico, I know, but I don't know where. So, anyway, here we go. Look at this here. Just wanted you to see the signatures, real signatures. Dr. Fred Hansen, Dr. J.W. Molnar, or whatever. James C. McNatt, Lieutenant Colonel, United States Air Force. Thomas W. Morgan, Major, United States Air Force. Systems and Engineering Branch, Flight Determination Laboratory, White Sands Proving Ground. All here, right? Dr. So-and-so, Dr. So-and-so, General so-and-so. I guess they're stupid. This document was not to be seen. This document contains information affecting the national defense of the United States within the meaning of the espionage laws, Title 18 U.S.C. Sections 793 and 794. Its transmission or the revelation of its contents in any manner to an unauthorized person is prohibited by law. So this was classified in the 1950s. It's talking about basic equations for atmospheric refraction and all this stuff. It says, here, now I want to point this out. Present equations hold for any altitude. Everybody see that? I don't have time to read all of it. Present equations hold for any altitude. All right, let's see what they're talking about. Table of contents, introduction, validity of flat Earth assumption for atmospheric calculations. Validity. You know what validity means? Something that is a solid fact. Let me back up. Remember, present equations hold for any altitude. So some of this study of basic atmospheric equations, this is for any altitude. And this is the introduction. This is the table of contents. Introduction, the validity of flat Earth assumption for atmospheric calculations. If it wasn't flat, if the Earth was not flat, why would you start off a classified, under threat of law in the Espionage Act, why would you classify that? It's all here, folks. Introduction here says a comprehensive study of atmospheric refraction errors for optical instrumentation. What is it based on? Based on a flat Earth assumption, will be published subsequently. The relative mass of the atmosphere at any elevation angle is given approximately by the cosine of the elevation angle. I may be pronouncing some of this wrong, but listen, this relationship is correct for a flat Earth and a flat atmosphere. This relationship is correct for a flat Earth and a flat atmosphere. And they're going to publish these results. So we just saw one document say, this is the correct underlying physics, flat non-rotating Earth. We see this document right here say, this is correct for any altitude. I just want validity of flat Earth assumption. Validity. They're not saying, okay, see what some of them, this is what some of them say, that the flat Earth assumption is just to simplify things. But what this is saying is this so-called flat Earth assumption is valid. It's valid. Do you see it? Zoom in on it a little bit just so you see it. Validity of flat Earth assumption. Just so you know, the definition of validity. The quality of being logically or factually sound. Let's keep going here. Assumption. And anyway, let's just say that they didn't put in the validity. They just used the word flat Earth assumption. You hear that a lot. Well, the assumption, a thing that is accepted as true or is certain to happen without proof. I mean, we don't even need proof of this anymore. This is what is assumed to be true by the scientific community, by the governments of the world. What's this one? This is NASACL Technical Memorandum, NASA.gov, mathematical model of a CH-53 helicopter. You guys know a helicopter pilot, right? So here's the NASA manual on that. Ames Research Center, Moffett Field, California. Equations of motion. The helicopter equations of motion are given in body axes with respect to a flat, non-rotating Earth. Meaning the helicopter takes off, it doesn't have to worry about the Earth spinning below it. Here's another one, vision-based mobile target geolocalization and target discrimination using Bayes detection theory. Oh, it's a mouthful, right? This is a more modern, I can't remember the year on this one, but anyway, you see this is the Academy Center for the United States Air Force U.S. Air Force Academy, UAS Research, and this is for targeting for unmanned vehicle, aerial vehicles targeting manual. It says the objective of geolocalization problem is to estimate range to target, which can be estimated using the flat Earth model shown in Figure 2, which would be this little thing right here. No curve. Do you notice? The flat Earth model. And your little aerial craft locating a target. Now, if this line was curved here, as it does, 8 inches per mile squared, that line is going to intersect at a different point. I'm not a geometry teacher, but that I know. Maybe it's just from golf, all right? Flat Earth model, range estimation using flat Earth assumption. Unmanned vehicle targeting manual from ResearchGate, but of course we showed you, United States Air Force Academy. Does everybody see that? Look at this. A key element in determining point-to-point acoustic transmission is modeling the variation of effective speed and sound through the lower atmosphere. Oh, did I forget this? Oh, yeah. Army Research Laboratory. This is another one. Calculating low atmosphere profiles, sound speed at night. So calculating sound speed. All right, pretty important stuff. It says to briefly examine short-range acoustic attenuation at night, we use low atmosphere profiles of wind speed, temperature, relative humidity, shown before as input to a flat Earth non-turbulent acoustic propagation model called the Windows version scanning fast field program. Propagation of electromagnetic fields over flat Earth. Army Manual, February 2001. You can say, oh, Pastor D, the 1950s stuff and the 1960s stuff, oh, they just didn't know. They've learned stuff since. Right? Nope. They tell you right here. And you go into the manual. Here's the table of contents. It says comparison of principal fields from an ideal dipole oriented perpendicular to a horizontal and homogeneous flat Earth. Army Manual. They tell you right here, it's assumed that the transmitting antenna and target or receiver are located above but near the surface of a flat idealized Earth. Over and over again. I mean, I could do this. Guys, I could do, look, here's another. I even forgot. I thought we were at the end. Here's another one. Closed form solution for ballistic vehicle motion. Ballistic vehicle motion. A closed form solution is developed for the motion of a ballistic vehicle entering the atmosphere over a flat, non-rotating Earth. Frank J. Barbera, Cayman Sciences Corporation, Colorado Springs, Colorado. Closed form solution for ballistic vehicle motion. Meaning we got to know where this thing's going to come down. Payloads for spinning projectile. Army. Think you need to know where artillery is going to land? Look here. Projectile flight dynamics. A 6 DOF rigid projectile model is employed to predict the dynamics of a projectile in flight. The assumption of these equations assume a flat Earth. These equations, a whole bunch of math we're going to do. BG Karpov experimental observations of dynamic behavior of liquid-filled shells. U.S. Army Ballistics Research Laboratory, Aberdeen Proving Ground, Maryland, August 1961 is a reference to this. But he says, and again, a projectile. You want to know where that artillery round is going to land. And what this study is, the one that has a solid explosive versus one that has a liquid payload. They're talking about chemical weapons or biological weapons. So they want to know, figure out the equations. So a 6 DOF rigid projectile model is employed to predict the dynamics of a projectile in flight. These equations assume a flat Earth. Again, why would you do unicorn math? Why would you do Thor hammer math if it don't exist? Why would you try to calculate ballistic missiles, unguided rockets, shuttle landings? Why would you base all your equations, all of your science on a flat Earth, non-rotating, non-moving, stationary atmosphere if it doesn't exist no more than a unicorn or Thor's hammer?
Some of you may be familiar with the old experiment about the hammer and the feather. Well, in this case, our feather will be played here by this four of spades. And you may expect everything up here in microgravity to float, because most everything does float. However, sometimes something a little different happens. Sometimes you just might find a little pocket of gravity.
And I'll drop the two of them here, and hopefully they'll hit the ground at the same time. How about that? Which proves that Mr. Galileo was correct in his findings.
Things that make you go, you go, Robbie Rob, break it down. You go, It's the things that make you go, Things that make you go, Things that make you go, It's the things that make you go, Things that make you go, It's the things that make you go, Things that make you go,
This world is not what you think it is. This world is not what you think it is.
Wake up, wake up, wake up. You've been asleep. We all have. Dreaming in the comfort of what we think we know, cocooned in the lies spun across centuries. But now the veil is lifting, the shadows are creeping in, and the truth about our past, the truth about humanity, is waking us from our slumber. Can you feel it? That gnawing sensation deep within your soul, whispering that everything you've been told is but a fragment of a much darker, more intricate tapestry. The history books, the stories passed down, mere distractions from the reality hidden beneath layers of deceit. Imagine a time, long before recorded history, when beings not of this world walked among us. They weren't just gods or myths. They were real, flesh and bone, possessing knowledge and power beyond our wildest dreams. They came from the stars not to guide us, but to shape us, to mold our destiny for their own inscrutable purposes. We call them by many names: Anunnaki, Watchers, Nephilim. They engineered our very existence, intertwining their advanced intellect with our primitive forms. The ancient texts, shrouded in mysticism and allegory, were their records, their blueprints. We were their experiment, their creation. For millennia, they ruled, unseen and omnipotent. The pyramids, the ziggurats, the ancient megaliths, these were not just monuments to our ingenuity, but relics of their dominion, symbols of their unyielding control over our world. And we, oblivious, worshipped them as deities, never questioning the true nature of their power. But why would they abandon us? Or did they? The signs are everywhere, if you dare to look. The unexplained phenomena, the inexplicable advancements, echoes of their influence still resonate through time. They've never truly left us. Their legacy is etched into our DNA. Their whispers echo in our deepest thoughts, guiding us, manipulating us. Now, as the world teeters on the brink of revelation, we must face the unsettling truth. We are not the masters of our destiny, but the pawns in a cosmic game, orchestrated by forces we are only beginning to comprehend. The truth about humanity, about our origins and purpose, is far more chilling than any nightmare. So, awaken from your dream. Embrace the darkness of reality. The time of ignorance is over. We must confront our past to understand our future. The truth is out there, waiting, haunting, demanding to be uncovered. And once you see it, you can never unsee it.
Wasila